What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker here. Today I'm gonna go through all of the crafting stats and the war within, and so you can figure out what the best ones are for your setup and understand a little bit about how they function so that you can utilize them when you're making your decisions. There are 4 crafting stats, so you may have noticed them if you have some professional gear, at least for the crafting professions. You have Multicraft, Ingenuity, Resourcefulness, and Crafting Speed. Those are the 4, and you can pick whichever one you want on your tool by using a missive, essentially. There's also the possibility to add some of them as an enchant to your tool. So this is where the choice comes in and where it's important to get the right stats. Multicraft gives you a chance to get multiple items. Ingenuity gives you a chance to get back some of your concentration when you do a concentrated craft. Resourcefulness gives you a chance to use fewer materials. And crafting speed increases your crafting speed. That means all of them are economically relevant. All of them will increase your profit. I mean, if you're doing something profitable, then more crafting speed means you can do more of it per hour. So you're going to make more gold. All the other ones directly impact your profit. Now, obviously, CraftSim, if you have that, will show you the value directly for any craft for Multicraft and Resourcefulness. But we're going to go a little bit deeper and look at how they function. And sort of look at why it is like it is with Multicraft on top of Resourcefulness. And we're also going to find a way to calculate Ingenuity value so that you can figure out if you're doing concentration crafting, should you be using Ingenuity on your tools over Resourcefulness or Multicraft, because that is possible. So Multicraft is the first one. Multicraft gives you a chance to get extra items. When you get extra items, according to the testing I've seen, you get on average 1.5 times the base yield of the recipe. So for this flask of alchemical chaos, which has 2 items as the base yield, I'll get 1.5 times 2, which doesn't work out to a nice even number. It means you're getting 3. Actually, it does. It's 3 items. 3 items when it procs. So on average, you can get more, you can get 1 extra, you can get 5 extra, but on average it'll average out to 1.5 extra. Now obviously, to reach that average you need to do a lot of crafts, which we'll talk about later as well. So that means 1% of Multicraft will straight up increase your profit by about 1.5%, because it gives you 1.5% extra items on average per craft. So that means Multicraft is really, really good. And if you're going from rank 5 uncommon tools that I'm sitting on here, this is probably going to vary a bit by profession because they have slightly different numbers. But for tailoring, you have 303 Multicraft at uncommon tools. Once you upgrade everything to rare quality 5, you're sitting at 434, which is an increase of 131. Which is equal to 4% extra Multicraft, which is going to increase your profit margin by 6% if you're doing mass crafting and you're doing really large sample sizes, which is very strong. I mean, that's massive. 6% in a high volume market like the region-wide auction house is, that's going to be a complete make or break for any market where that's relevant. Now, Resourcefulness functions differently. So Resourcefulness, there's once again a chance to proc, but the chance to proc is per material, and if it procs for a material, you have a chance to get back up to 30% of the materials used. Now, what if the material is something that there's one of, for instance, you can't really get back 30% of one off an item. You either get back a null lotus or you don't. Now, you can get back items that are only used one off, but the chance is a lot lower. So what ends up happening is that the proc chance goes down, essentially, which is why people have been seeing like really large samples where their Resourcefulness proc chance is a lot lower than the expected one, or what CraftSim shows. But that's because you're on average getting 30% back of your materials. So what they should be seeing if you were doing a really large sample size with something that used just one of one material, is that over time you should have your Resourcefulness chance times 30%, or 30% of your Resourcefulness chance. That's the amount of materials you should be getting back. That does mean that it's a lot worse. Like you're getting 30% of your materials back when resourcefulness procs. Whereas Multicraft is 1.5 times the percentage, here we're looking at dividing the percentage by 3 roughly to get like the value in terms of crafting cost. So on average, 1% of resourcefulness is going to decrease your crafting cost by about 0.3%. So yeah, Multicraft is just better than resourcefulness. It's 5 times better. That's the basics of it. Unless there's some weird shenanigans with prices, but on average, Multicraft is going to be 5 times better than resourcefulness for any items that are profitable. So that's pretty interesting. Multicraft is the one you go to for literally everything that can multicraft in the game, for that reason. So that makes it pretty easy to understand. Now, obviously, all of what I was talking about now is law of large numbers stuff. If you're crafting 10 items, you can get 0 multicraft procs. You actually have a pretty high chance of getting 0 multicraft procs. I did some simulations using a Monte Carlo simulation. You have at least a 10% chance of just not getting anything, even if you have a 20% multicraft chance. You need to craft thousands of items. If you want your actual observed proc chance, like what you are getting when you're crafting items, to be close by the item or the proc chance here, which is what you would want to use for calculating your profits, right? You would want to take your expected profit, and that's what CraftSim does. If you do that, for instance, CraftSim takes the average profit based on your crafting stats, which means that you need to craft enough for that average profit to be the profit you're actually getting. And that does mean crafting thousands of items for most for the chances that we see, where you'll have multi-craft typically around between 15 and 20%, depending on profession. Which means you need to craft thousands of items. Otherwise, you're gambling. You can get lucky, obviously, when gambling, so there's nothing wrong with that. But just know that if you're planning to craft 100 items, the variance is a lot larger. You can have sort of your actual crafting cost can vary by 10-20% for a sample of 100 items. Whereas if you're doing 5,000 items, then you're going to vary by 1% maybe around the expected value. The last one is Ingenuity, which is a little bit interesting. This is only for concentration crafting. And this is the concentration value is the value per concentration, but that doesn't really tell you how valuable Ingenuity is. Ingenuity gives you a chance to refund half of the concentration you spent on an item. So the value depends a lot on the price difference between quality 2 and quality 3 crafts, and whether or not that's going to essentially let you get into nice profit territory. So here we can see that the value of concentration is 3 gold, 75 silver. But does that mean Ingenuity is better or worse than Multicraft? I mean, Multicraft is really bad right now, but if you turn on concentration, then we can see the actual value of Multicraft for this item right now, which is 64 silver for a concentration craft. So to figure this out, I've made a simple spreadsheet where you can plug in some numbers and get the... So here we have it. Now the only thing we need to fill out are these blue cells. So first we need to fill out if you have any buffs to increase your multicraft. For the sake of the experiment, we're just not going to bother with that. Then we need the item price, which for a quality 3, one is apparently 959 gold. I'm not sure if this is this sounds right, 959. Then we need to add the concentration value right here, 3 gold 75, so 3.75. We need to add the crafting cost, which you can see here, 509.99 actually, for the current item, 509.99. We can just do 510, whatever. And then lastly, the concentration cost, which is how much concentration it's going to cost you to craft this recipe. Now we can see that for the current recipe for Flask of Alchemical Chaos crafting, Multicraft is about twice as valuable as Ingenuity. So I should be on this character. We should be if you're doing concentration crafting, I should have a Multicraft on my tool, and I should have an Ingenuity enchant on the tool. because Ingenuity is still a lot better than Resourcefulness. Since this character is very, very far away from reaching guaranteed quality 3 crafting, then this is the way to go. I want Multicraft and Ingenuity. Now, that spreadsheet is linked in the video description. You can use it for any recipe to figure out what the best approach is for your recipes. Most likely you're going to get this result in a large variety of cases, but you can also just use it to play around a bit and see if you can find some price points, or maybe you have some builds. If you have the extra Ingenuity procs, it might be possible that it ekes out Multicraft in certain situations. But either way, that's how they function. And the important things to take away is that Multicraft is king. But if you're doing volume crafting, if you're doing guaranteed quality 3, you need to do loads of it. You need to do thousands and thousands, because the margins are going to be thin. If margins are thin, then you need to be in a situation where the proc chances or the proc rates that you're getting when you're crafting your items, that they are close to the average. Because otherwise, the numbers in Craft Sim are going to lead you astray, because they are essentially the expected value based on effectively an infinite sample size. So you need to get as close as possible to that infinite crafting sample size in your own crafting activities. So yeah, hopefully this was a little bit helpful in understanding the crafting stats. If something wasn't clear, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.